Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for taking time out of your busy schedules and joining us today for this exclusive webinar with the Third Faculty of Medicine, Charles University. Today's webinar is going to go on for 1 hour. In the first 30 minutes, we will be discussing about the university, and in the later part of the meeting, we'll have a Q&A session where you'll be able to ask your questions in the Q&A box below, and we'll be answering them. Today, we have Dr. David Marks with us, the Vice Dean of the faculty. Thank you all for joining once again, and over to you, Mr. David, Dr. David.
Good morning, everybody. Or good afternoon from here, from Prague. Let me introduce myself. My name is David Marks. I'm a pediatrician. That's my clinical specialty. The other one is in public health. And I'm here as a Vice Dean for Undergraduate Education and Student Affairs of the Third Faculty of Medicine, Charles University in Prague. My first question is, can you now see my presentation?
Yes.
Yes, it's visible.
And so, welcome. Prague hosts three medical schools, three faculties of medicine of the same university. This is a historical context, because the one medical school has been divided in 1953, and since then we do have three. And I'm going to explain to you the specifics of studying at our medical school at the third. So let me just Can you still see the presentation?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So this is Prague. This is the Prague Castle. Prague is a nice and historical city. It's very welcoming for tourists, but also from students from abroad. And the Charles University, that has been founded in 1348. These are the oldest buildings where nowadays you will get only in case of your matriculation ceremonies or graduation ceremonies. Most of the time studying with us is spent here at the new buildings. This is the Third Faculty of Medicine. This is the main building. It's attached to three of Prague University hospitals. In this building, students spend most of their first and second years during their theoretical studies. Then it's mixed between hospitals, both in Prague and outside Prague, and also some hospitals in home countries of the students. So some general information. This what we are teaching a standardized European medical curriculum. The general medical studies leading to the title MD are valid in all European Union countries immediately, and Charles University diplomas are recognized by 192 countries worldwide, which practically means all the countries in the world. So let me just skip a little bit forward. I'll come back to this initial slide and explain something to you about our curriculum, which is how do we differ from other medical schools in Prague, but also in the Czech Republic. Here on this picture, you can see that's a picture of a physician. Physician is on the right of the
Dr. Max, we cannot see the picture. You are just stuck with the picture of the faculty only. Yeah.
Okay, so let me restart this. Can you see the picture now?
Yes, the two pictures. Yeah.
So on the right side, there's this is a picture from 1313, and it shows a physician on the right side, and this is a symbol of plague, of the death, on the left side. And as you can see, the physician is not really very powerful. He just has a jug with urine and a pair of glasses. The death on the other side is looking pretty dangerous. So this symbolizes what medicine could be doing at that time, and also how it was taught. Very, very simply, the next revolution or in teaching medicine was in, can you see, did it change? Did the slide change?
Yes.
Yeah, but not the full screen is. You can make it full also if you want. Make it. Yeah.
Probably.
We can see that one, but not the
Yeah,
full one.
it seems like there's some issue here.
Okay, okay, that's fine.
Technology.
Okay, that's fine.
I'm going to.
Okay.
So in 1781, the university started to teach not only medicine, but also surgery. You can see a symbol of a surgeon on the right side of the picture. He doesn't have a lot of books. He has a lot of instruments. On the left side, they're making fun of generalists, of an internists, having a lot of books, a lot of talking, but no instruments, not working. And that was the year when medicine started to be taught in the basic classical style, starting with anatomy in the first year, giving students bones and teaching them about all the skeleton and muscles. However, if we have a look at this picture that symbolizes modern medicine, now we have much more specialties than only the two, medicine and surgery. We have other disciplines working alongside the physicians, the nurses, technicians, and others. And still, many of the medical schools are still teaching in a very classical way, when the new information that is coming in every day, there are only 3 areas of human activities that develop as quick as healthcare. It's IT, it's weapons industry, and then it's healthcare. Those are the speediest evolving disciplines. And that brings a lot of new information, and we have to teach it to our students. So coming back to this slide, we found some inspiration in medical schools such as Oxford, Cambridge, Maastricht, Munich, and we introduced what is called integrated problem-based learning. And that's the specifics of our teaching. In the first year, students are not presented the skeleton, but are taught about the anatomy of the cell, how cell functions, about the structure of the cell. So it's an integrated subject that integrates biochemistry, molecular biology, histology, human genetics. So we are teaching our students in the same way as a physician looks at a patient. You don't look at a patient who is coming with some complaints and you don't start thinking, oh, what could it be based on anatomy? Oh, what could this be based on biochemistry? But integrated. I'll get later on to a more detailed description of individual years. So that's the main difference. The number of our medical students, we have around 300 students per year. 1/3 of them is in the English curriculum, and they come from over 70 countries in the world. We stimulate students into research activities. At a very early stage, we like to see those interested in research participating in our teams as early as in the 2nd year, so that by the end of their studies, they may have presented some of their findings or even published it. And I cannot stress enough that, especially for students that after graduation seek jobs in competitive places in Europe and in the USA or Japan, the fact that they have done some research brings a lot of positive points. We are not omitting support of our students. We have our own healthcare center for them, Center for Mental Health, and we have a robust support system, which I'll describe later on. And all our students, including those studying in international curriculum, in the English curriculum, are stimulated to spend some time studying abroad, either in their home countries or in any other countries, so that have medical faculties. So part of this I've already described. Another specifics of our teaching is early contact with patients. 95% of our first-year students want to work in clinical medicine, not in pure research, not in medical management, but in clinical medicine. And so it's important for them to start training the skills they need for communicating with patients, to understand what does it mean being a chronically ill person. So as early as in the first year, there is a subject called Introduction to Clinical Medicine, where students are brought into hospitals and long-term care facilities. And they usually start with taking a selfie in their brand new white cloaks, but then they try to understand the principles of being ill. Also, after the first year, there is a summer placement where they should spend 2 weeks at a long-term care facility for adults or for children, either in our country or in their home country, again, to understand, for instance, what does it mean for a family to have a chronically ill child. Another pillar, as we call them, these subjects that are taught along the 6 years, is teaching ethical principles of medicine. Having already said how powerful medicine is, we are able to treat diseases that 20 years ago we couldn't imagine that we would be able to do it once. I graduated in 1984, and at that time, more than 85% of our children with leukemia were dying. Nowadays, more than 90% are surviving. So that's just an illustration. 50% of patients with myocardial infarction were dying. Now it's only 5%. But that brings with it a secondary risk of what we call playing God. So we teach our students how to deal with ethical conflicts that may arise during their clinical studies. In the initial years, we discuss with them some basic aspects of medical humanities. For instance, when we are teaching anatomy, we are also discussing ethics of behavior towards a dead body. And the last pillar that again goes across 4 or 5 years is public health and medical law. For our English curriculum students, it's international medical law, when we teach them how to behave in the system, what to do if there are risks, and some general solutions to legal issues. So now let's start in the first year. We call it first cycle. Those are the first 2 years. And I already described the subject cellular basis of medicine, which is taught in the first year. That's one big subject, one big exam. In the second year, we give them the bones, but again, it's not separate subjects like anatomy, physiology, biochemistry, but it's taught together as a subject called structure and function of human body. So for instance, when students are taught the anatomy of the heart, at the same week, they are taught how the heart works in physiology, and they are taught about oxygenation of blood in biochemistry. We also use patients, for instance, in the first year, when students are taught about metabolism of glucose. We typically start with a diabetic patient who comes in and describes what symptoms, what problems have led him or her to visit a physician. Then there are some other smaller subjects are already introduced: introduction to clinical medicine, physics, Students are taught Czech. We don't expect them to be fluent in Czech, but we expect them to have some basic knowledge to greet patients, to ask some simple questions, and to order beer in pubs. Then we have the second cycle. Those are year 3 and 4, because now students already know how does a body function when it functions and how does it look like when it's okay. But we need to teach them how does it look like when there is some problem and how does it function when there is some problem. And again, we are integrating pathology and pathophysiology. The other large subjects are microbiology integrated with infectious diseases. So it's not teaching about bacteria, but it's teaching about bacteria together with seeing patients who are suffering an infectious disease. Then there are smaller subjects such as hematology, oncology, X-ray. We continue the subject's introduction to clinical medicine by, we call it clinical propedeutics. Students already start to be taught about how to use stethoscopes, how to listen to patients, percussion, how to assess patients. And then there is the last cycle when this is more or less traditional. It's very similar to what is taught in the traditional curriculum. Students are studying clinical subjects such as ENT, ophthalmology, gynecology, internal medicine, and in the last year they have their final exams. So you can see the list of the final exams here, and they graduate then as doctors of medicine. This is the graduation ceremony in the old hall that you have seen at the very beginning, and they get their diploma that is valid across all Europe. Apart from obligatory subjects, there is a wide range of elective subjects. For instance, one of the subjects is tied to medical ethics, and it's called Medical Crimes of the Holocaust, where we bring our students to the concentration camp in Auschwitz in Poland, and they have a lecture and they can see the area. And in the lecture, they are taught that there is no way how a physician becomes a good person just by studying medicine, that it's important to take into account all the ethical risks and all the moral risks of the profession. Other elective courses are mainly used for those students who have, for instance, higher interest in becoming surgeons. So they visit specific hospitals more frequently than their colleagues. They can also choose sports and games or some other medical placements, for instance, endoscopy or some research. A significant part of the studies is practical, including the summer months when there is a lot of electives. Some students of our English curriculum spend these in their home countries. Some apply for the Europe-wide Erasmus program, and some of them just go to far away hospitals in the US or in Canada, where they can use this experience to, for instance, prepare for their future job. Now let me talk a little bit about our student support. We understand that studying medicine is tough. It's not undoable, but it requires quite a lot of work and time investment. And it's not easy to leave your own country and to come to a different country, which may be much colder than your own one. You don't understand the language. So we have a robust system of tutoring students, especially in the first year. Students are divided into groups per around 15, 18 people, and each group is tutored by one of our experienced faculty members and also by a student from the second years, so someone who has just finished the year that you are entering into and who can give you all the tips and all his experience that he has. As the only medical school in the Czech Republic, we manage a non-stop SOS hotline. So 24/7, there is a phone number, and it's picked day and night, either by myself or by one of my associates that can help, for instance, if there are acute health issues, psychological issues, or even administrative issues, for instance, visa issues, or even something as banal as translation for students who are stopped by a traffic inspector. So there's a wide range of support, including legal support if there are some issues, for instance, with the police or with the immigration police. We have the designated GP. She's our graduate. She graduated from the English curriculum a few years ago and now is serving as a GP for our English-speaking students. And we have 2 psychiatrists and 2 clinical psychologists helping us to sort out either acute or long-term mental health issues. So, for instance, this is one of my former groups. We go out for some social events, and this is a picture of them. Students themselves have their own activities. There is a student union called TriMed, which where together they work, the Czech curriculum and English curriculum students. We start after the entrance exams when you succeed in them, and at the end I'll just describe the exams. There is an initial retreat, an initial camp, 3 days you spend in South Bohemia, getting to know your pals that will be in your study group for the next 6 years, but also other students. Then there is the Freshers Week. There are many competitions. One of the most favorite ones, one of the most loved ones is Quidditch match on the Dean's Day in early October. There's a ball, there's a steamboat dress party, there are many others. But also our students show that they are mature for their social role. So we have a group of students helping children who have been abused by their parents. Some students teach first aid at schools. Some students help to provide healthcare for homeless. We send groups of students to Africa, to Kenya, 2 or 3 times a year for voluntary work there. Some students help us with introducing the university to high school students or to children. So this is one of the English-speaking groups from a few years ago. So the entrance exams have 2 parts. The first part is a written part. There's a test in biology, chemistry, and physics. And after that, those who have succeeded in this test, there's a short interview where we discuss the motivation and also give you some very simple ethical cases to find out what would be your solution on the possible in addressing this case, how to deal with it from different sides. The entrance exams in general are held on site. So the same day of the entrance exam, we give the applicants the information when they have been admitted. Following that, as here you can see in September, they go to this camp. Then we have, this is one of the parties, the ball. This is the Quidditch match, actually. It's very important to know how to fly a broom. So if you are considering studying with us, don't forget to do that. Just kidding, of course. This is one of our students in Africa, in the ITIBO project. And the last one is the, this is the last one. That's the University for Kids. We have a few pictures, again, a few more pictures from the initial camp. Again, as the only medical school, we bring our international students there as well as the Czech students. This is one of the integrated activities when our students were collecting money and sending medication to Ukraine at the beginning of the war. Many of them have been volunteering at the Prague main railway station, opening a first aid center for the refugees from Ukraine. These are pictures from there. Another one. And as it is nearly past, I hope that this basic explanation made sense. I'm here to answer any questions, and here are my personal contacts, the faculty website and Facebook page, where you can find much more information. So thank you for listening to me, and I'm open to any questions.
Thank you very much, Dr. Marks, for that very informative presentation. Let's move on to the Q&A session now. So we can already say there's a lot of questions pouring in, and of course, we're going to be avoiding the repetitive questions. Moving on to the first question by Tess. Tess wants to know, is there an entrance interview? If yes, what type of questions are asked?
Well, that's what the interview is not about knowledge. The interview is about motivation. So the most frequent question is, why do you want to be a physician? Did you have any experience in taking care of somebody in your family, at the child's camp, at the high school, as a volunteer? We also want to know whether our applicants have been doing something systematically, because psychological studies show that people who have been doing anything focused on it and doing it for a significant long time, such as playing piano or playing football, are at higher probability more successful in studying medicine, because medicine means that for 6 years you focus on something and you spend quite a lot of time with it. And also every student gets this small ethical case that I was already speaking about, and some kind of short a fragment of a popular scientific journal just to discuss about it, to show that they understand the topic.
Okay. Tess also has another question. She wants to know, how does the university help the students with the USMLE?
Well, in the past, we did have a course preparing students for USMLE, but the interest has gone down because USMLE is a very much individualistic test, and students usually prefer to study at their own pace. So the support on our side is that we arrange consultations for them if need be, but mainly I must say that from the experience of the 15 years I've been sitting in this chair, there's a big advantage of our modular integrated system, because the questions in USMLE tests are similarly integrated. So actually, most of our students passing USMLE do it in year 4, where we teach integrated subjects, and that helps them very much to prepare for step 1. Similarly, it is with the clinical for step 2.
Okay. Moving on to the next part, we have a couple questions about this. Students want to know the difference between the first, second, and the third faculty of medicine.
Well, that's what the main difference is, that our teaching style, our curriculum structure is integrated. So we don't teach individual subjects such as anatomy, histology, physiology, but we integrate them together. It doesn't mean that we teach more or less than the other faculties, because as an EU medical school, we are obliged to teach a certain amount of classes in each subject. but we can mix them together and teach them in this way that is much easier for students to understand and also to remember, because it helps if they know why are we learning this set of names, because it can be used in clinical medicine in this way. It's easier to retain it. Another big difference is a very strong and robust student support system, including the phone hotline. And another one is a very strong accent we have on the international practice and research.
Okay. Moving on to the next question by Arhant. Arhant wants to know, is the medicine course recognized in the UK and the US, and is the internship included in the course?
Internship is not included in the course. It's a 6-year course. So if in the UK, well, that's the only, in the UK, based on historical contracts from the time UK has been an EU member state, they recognize our 6th year as their foundation year 1, which is something like an internship immediately after graduation. In other countries, internship for other countries, as Germany, for instance, or the US, the course does not include internship. However, it is fully recognized in these countries and in many others. The big difference between EU countries and the others, but that's not only for Czech Republic, that's for all of them, is that in EU, the only test you are obliged to do is a language test. Otherwise, medicine graduation is recognized without the necessity of any further tests.
Okay, can I just add one thing, that that internship means they want to know the clinical rotation, which is a part of the program. That it's not like an internship in UK. So every university has got the placement service in place, where after year 3 they go to the hospitals for different department and do the clinical rotation. No, that's why.
Well,
they mean this one, yeah.
That's something different. Clinical rotation is clinical rotation. That's part of the undergraduate studies. But the internship that, for instance, has is the year 7 in Germany, or foundation year 1 in and 2 in the UK, that's after graduation.
Yes. That's so they mean this kind of internship, that this is a part of the program. No, so please don't confuse her. Student, please don't confuse with this internship and that clinical rotation. That is different, and that is a part of the program. Please go ahead, please. Next.
Okay. Salma has 2 questions. First is, how can the third faculty students take part in research, and what other opportunities are there to obtain experience and knowledge that is available at the third faculty?
So after we let them be during the first year to adapt. And after the first year, for those who are interested in research, there is a wide range of basic research in biochemistry, genetics, histology, physiology, anatomy, but also many of them start with clinical research. At this early stage, naturally, it's more about collecting data and processing data, but 1 or 2 years later, they are already well-functioning members of research teams. And in the 3rd and 4th year, there is a specific subject called Students Scientific Conference, where students who are participating in any research present their papers at this conference. Then they are recognized, one by credits, but also they can win it, and also many of the outcomes here can be published. So, and we do have a very strong cooperation, for instance, with the National Institute of Mental Health. So even at this early stage, in the second or third year, they are participating in many WHO research studies that are provided by this National Institute of Mental Health. The same applies, for instance, to cardiology and to some aspects of public health and palliative medicine. And the second question was?
Any other requirements or opportunities for students for the research?
That's what I just said. That's the research. But
Yes.
there's another one tied to it. You said two parts. And
It was actually the continuation. How can the students take part in research and what opportunities are there?
Okay. That's
Okay. All right. Moving on to the next question, we have Ms. Soha. They're asking, what is the academic requirements for American diploma students? American curriculum?
you mean high school?
Yes, with the American curriculum.
Yeah, that's fine. That's recognized here.
Okay. There's a couple more repetitive questions. I'm going to be skipping them. Okay. Anas wants to know, can the entrance exam be taken online?
Not at the moment, only in case there would be too little applicants from one area, or if there would be any further travel restrictions as we had in the COVID times. At present, we are planning for on-site entrance exams. Naturally, this can be modified with the situations I've just described. That would evolve in time.
Okay. There's a couple questions about the entrance exam again. Ms. Suha also wants to know what subjects are there for the entrance exam.
It's biology, chemistry, and physics for the written tests. Then for the interview, it's no specific subjects.
Okay. Then we have a question by Arya. When will the assessments be in UAE?
Yeah.
Dr. Kadri, could you also address this, please?
Okay. Now you are asking about the entrance examination in UAE. The entrance date of the entrance examination will be on Jan 27 or this April 21. So you can select that either of the dates, but please make sure that you can take the entrance examination only once in a year. You cannot retake the exam. So either you choose Jan or you choose April. You will be joining in September. So whenever you are ready, you can join. Just contact us and we will register you for the exam.
Okay. And a continuation to that, I will be dropping in the contact details in the chat box as well. So students, you can always contact us for more information regarding the entrance exams. In the meantime, let's move on to the next question by Matthew. They want to know what are the requirements after year 12, such as is anything required like SATs or AP externals?
Hmm. We do have a specific pathway for students that have scored high scores in SAT. We don't require them, but for students with high marks in SAT, that's defined on the website in the subjects that are included in the test, you can be admitted without entrance exams. You can be admitted directly. Also, this applies to students scoring high in international baccalaureates. And also, this applies to students who have already graduated from any bachelor program in natural sciences or in healthcare. There are some of them, such as health sciences. These students don't have to undergo the entrance exam. They just send us confirmation about their scores in SAT or International Baccalaureate or their recognized credentials. For the others, we only require a school leaving certificate, whichever type of school it is.
Okay, and a continuation to that is a question by Ahmad. They want to know how many A levels are required. to enroll in the university?
If it's for entrance without entrance exams, it is two A levels, either chemistry, biology, or chemistry, physics, or chemistry, mathematics. For the others, we don't have this requirement.
Okay. Moving on to the next question by Ms. Soha. She wants to know what is the annual tuition fees and is there any scholarships?
Yeah, for the next year, the annual tuition fee is 420,000 crowns, which is approximately 17,000 euros. So we were able to keep the tuition fee lower than some other medical schools because we are using some of the sponsors and donations that we have for our English curriculum. Scholarships can be won as from the second year based on the results of the previous year, but those are not scholarships that would cover full tuition fee.
Okay, and a follow-up to that question, another student has asked for the living costs as well. Approximate would be good.
The living costs in the Czech Republic at present in Prague differ from, let's say, around 15,000 crowns, which is 750 euros per month, up to about twice as much, which depends on the type of accommodation. The university has a lot of dormitories of different, they are quite nice, but some have double rooms, some have single rooms, some are in the suburbs. So the costs depend on whether you stay in the dormitory or if you rent a flat. Again, you can share a flat. So plus minus 800 euros per month is sufficient low margin for your living costs.
Okay, moving on to the next question by Arya. Arya wants to know when do the students generally get the confirmation regarding acceptance?
Not later than 3 days after the exam.
Okay. Moving on to the next question by Adham. Adham has asked actually a couple questions. There's a repetition. Okay. Adam is doing American curriculum this year. They want to know if any AP subjects are required for admission and how many subjects they should take. How much are the cutoff marks for the entrance exam? And what documents are required for the application? Is any personal statement, CV, or specific documents required?
Okay, so I will start from the end. We only want to see the application, and then not later than the beginning of October, confirmation of high school diploma, any type of high school diploma, because we understand that some high schools issue the diplomas during the summer. All the information is on our website. Cutoff for the test at present is so altogether it's 90 questions, multiple choice, and the cutoff is 61 points, so 61 correct questions, correct answers. And then there is a third part that I already forgot. I think that was the first part.
Okay. So it was about yes, Dr. Kadi, did you want to add something?
Okay, yes, I just want to add this one that I mean, regarding entry qualification, as long as you pass your high school diploma, that is approved by the local education authorities. Like if you are in Dubai, it has to be approved by KHDA and it attested by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. If you are in Abu Dhabi, it should be from EDAC. So as long as your diploma is approved by the local education body, is it is accepted. So we don't need any kind of APs or SAT or any kind of MSAT or nothing. As long as you just get a diploma, either it is American or the British or Filipino or Russian or the IB, but it has to be approved by the local education ministry. It is approved now. and we don't need any CV or any kind of a specific documents. Only your grade 10, 11, and 12 results. Thank you.
Okay, I think that answers the questions Adham asked. Moving on to the next one by Matthew. Matthew wants to know, is there a difficulty in practicing the medicine in Czech after graduation, considering that the students need to speak the Czech language?
Most of our graduates from the English curriculum go back to their countries or go elsewhere in Europe. They don't stay. The number of those graduates that stay is every year between 5 and 10. So it's around 10%. Those are typically motivated to stay in the country based on either their ties to the country, maybe their family came from here, or based on the fact that they found a partner here, or based on other strong incentives that typically lead them to study the language more in depth during the undergraduate studies. So those don't have issues. The test is pretty basic of the language, and you can also start working in the hospital even before the test if the departmental head guarantees that you will have availability of a translator for the initial phase. So no, those who have decided to stay here, which usually happens around the 3rd or 4th year, they don't have issues with language.
Okay. Moving on to the next question by Deepak. Deepak wants to know, is the course recognized by MCI India?
You mean the diploma?
Yes.
Yeah, it is. In India, it is recognized. Charles University is a university recognized in India.
Okay. The next question is by Salma. Salma wants to know, will the university accept a 2022 A-level graduates this year, coming year? Okay. Humam wants to know, does the entrance exam have to be done in Czech, or can the students do it in UAE?
There are several places, several cities
Yeah.
worldwide, including UAE. It's all written on our website.
Okay.
Well,
And
if you want to travel to Prague, if you want to go with your family and spend time, spend money, yes, you can go to Prague. That's why we are here to conduct the entrance examination in UAE. But choice is yours. You can go to Prague also. That's up to you.
Or
okay. Okay. We have a couple questions by Ahmed. Ahmed wants to know, first of all, is there any age requirements to join the university? Any minimum age? Okay. Is there any on-campus accommodation?
Just a second. If you are at the moment of starting your studies junior, if you are less than 18 years, then you have to have someone like a guardian from the university that is sort of nominated for you to deal with some of the issues such as signing for dormitory and so on. So, but yes, we do have students who started studies at the age of 17 or even 16.
Okay. Following on to the next question by Ahmed. Ahmed wants to know, is there on-campus accommodation available?
Those are the dormitories. None of the medical schools in Prague has a campus. The buildings are spread all across the city, and the university has many dormitories. Some of them are closer to different faculties. So by tradition, for instance, students from our faculty select 1 or 2 dormitories where they live together, but that's not a must-do. You can select any dormitory that belongs to the Charles University based on your expectations and your expected quality of accommodation.
Okay. Then we have a question by Humam. Humam wants to know, can they apply with predicted grades, or is the original results required to apply?
Again, can
Yeah, sorry. So Homer wants to know, are predicted grades enough to be applied, or do they need the original documents to use for the application?
Yeah, predicted grades are enough to apply, but for starting the studies, we have to have the final results.
Okay.
So by the end
Mhm.
of September, we have to have the final results.
Okay. We have an interesting question by Salma. What does the third faculty want to see prospective students achieve more of in the 6 years of studies?
Well, that's a tough question because the field of medicine and the field of studies is wide. But what we do want to see from all our students is that they were able to master medicine in the two basic pillars. Medicine as science, to gain all the necessary knowledge and skills that are required for a graduate of an EU recognized medical school, and medicine as arts. So what are there to improve their social abilities, to be able to communicate empathically with patients, and to understand the social role every single physician has.
Okay. We have a question by Tess. Tess is saying that she has gotten the highest grades in AS in year 12. Do they still need to give the entrance exam?
Oh, I'll have to see the diploma based on, it's not only on grades, it's different subject from subject, and it depends on the system that has been applied to generate these grades. So I can answer this question after filing this confirmation, either via your agency or via email.
Okay. We have one more question by Salma. Salma wants to know, can students take an extra year at the third faculty to continue to pursue research after finishing the 6 years?
Yes, and many of them do that. Not only 1 year, but many of our students continue in their PhD. And if it's PhD in basic research, you don't even need to go through the language exam. If it is clinical research, then it is tied to the beginning of specialization training. So yes, and we support that with scholarship.
Okay. With that last question, I think we have answered more than 40 questions, but if there's anything else, then students feel free to type in. Um, okay, we have another question by Matthew. Matthew wants to know, after graduation, the degree would be what? Is it MD? And should this be enough to practice in other countries if they wish to go for further specialty?
It is MD, and it is automatically the condition to practice in any EU member state. In other countries, it depends on the local arrangements. Some countries require some further tests. But for entering specialization training, this is the basic requirement. Some countries worldwide are happy to have just this MD for a person to start working as a GP even without the need of a specialization. So it's necessary to know that the legal arrangements for clinical practice differ country from country.
Can I just add one thing, like those like suppose if you want to come back to UAE, you have to pass the examination of this Ministry of Health. No, if you want to go back to India, again you have to pass this NMC and all this. No, so whichever country you go, you have to follow their rules and regulation and their licensing requirement. It is not automatically you can assume that you go and practice. You have to search for this, ask the requirement, but this diploma is recognized worldwide. It is approved by European Medical Council and all the GMC and this USML everywhere. But it depends on country to country. You have to search yourself which country requires what, and then you can go and practice. No, depending on the condition there. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. We have another question by Matthew. Matthew wants to know, is there any specialization programs after MD at third faculty?
Oh, yes, there are actually, because we are integrated with the university hospital, so it's virtually all the clinical specialization programs, and then for the research programs for PhD, it's because you can continue to get an MD PhD. It's in neuroscience, cardiovascular sciences, physiology, preventative medicine, and surgical sciences. So actually, again, all clinical research.
Okay. Giovanni wants to know if there is an excellence year.
If there is what?
An excellence year.
What is that? What do you mean by the term?
Giovanni, if you could please
I
clarify
think he's
that.
just asking that. He's just asking how was your year? No, was it excellent or what? No. This one I can see that. No, it's okay. Just okay. I think
Okay.
he's just asking this. Okay.
Yeah.
Last question, please.
Matthew's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So let's take the last question. Matthew again wants to know, for radiology, how many more years should the student require?
For radiology, it's 3 to 4 years more.
Okay, all right. With that question, I think we've answered all the open questions. If there's anything else, then students, I have mentioned the contact details in the chat box. You can always contact us for more information, and we'll be taking care of the entrance exam, the application, etc. So, with that being said, thank you all for joining, and I think this is where we can end the webinar. And thank you, Dr. Marks, for joining as well.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you, Dr. Moss, and thank you, everybody. Have a nice day. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.